What's going on, YouTube? Today, I wanted to talk to you about how my net worth has affected my current lifestyle. Coming up to 2019, I was working full time for different businesses. Um, I was mainly focusing, so between the year of 2000 and 2010, my focus was to be a pilot. Um, Now, going back to, I guess, 2019, it was a great idea that I actually didn't follow through, or at least I did not join an airline. My career was planned from, say, when I was younger, uh, when I was in school, was mainly to be a pilot. What that means is I focus mostly on getting grades to get into an airline, or the better way to put it would be to get to study aviation. That was through either a bachelor's degree or through a flying school to get my private license, my commercial license, and in turn, at least the theory side of what's called the Air Transport Pilot's License, or ATPL. However, after 2007, 2008, I got my commercial license. I had about 1,500 hours of flying time. However, I did decided that flying was not for me, at least in terms of a career and a job. I kind of got bored sitting in a cockpit for a very long period of time, just managing systems and problem solving in a short confined space. When I was younger, I didn't realize that about myself, but when I was a bit more self-aware, I realized the importance of having that freedom to do what I want to do whenever I wanted to do it. So I changed it. I went into a different field, which was freight forwarding. The attraction for me with freight forwarding, even though it was an accidental career change, was that that was a field where I could have a sneak peek into how businesses work, what they pay, how much they pay for products to sell in Australia, or how much they sell to overseas businesses. So, freight forwarding is facilitating freight services for businesses. It could be private as well, but I focus more mainly, or the companies I work for mainly focus on businesses to import products or export products depending on what that particular company was doing. Got into freight forwarding around in 2008. Did that for 11 years. So when I left in 2019, I was in the field for 11 years. Did that for 11 years. I probably got to the highest, or close to the highest, one of the highest positions I could get to, which was National Operations Manager for a company that was based in Israel with offices in Australia as well as the US. We got into that, however, I realized the money is in actually owning businesses rather than just working for a business. So they say, a wage makes a living and profits make a fortune. So based on that, I decided I didn't want to be in freight forwarding, or at least I didn't want to work for someone else. So in 2019, I bought a house, and then decided to move and start my own business, or start my own freight forwarding business from working from home. What that did was that gave me a lot of flexibility. It was fantastic. One, I didn't have to drive to an office. I was working from home. I was able to manage everything from home. I did have a virtual office in Sydney where I could have meetings there if I needed to. I will speak about that at a later video of how to set up a virtual office and create a presence of a bigger company, even though you have a small company. I did that. I created a virtual office. I work from home. I catered to a fair few clients through that between 2019 and 2021. Sadly, with COVID, it was very hard for me to compete with the bigger freight forwarders who were getting better rates. So I wound up the company in 2021. But between 2019 and 2020, while I was doing the freight forwarding company, I opened a pizzeria and a coffee bar, which was a local business. I built that while I was doing the freight forwarding. So ideally, I wanted to focus more on those two businesses along with investing in properties. So I wound down the freight forwarding company. It was a kind of like, well, in one sense, it was, yes, the business was hard to compete with at the time with other larger freight forwarders who were getting better rates. At the same time, it was the fact that I wanted to focus more on the pizzeria and the coffee bar while focusing more on the capital investment side than doing the freight forwarding. So it worked out well that I didn't have to kind of just shut the shop. It was just wound down in the sense like once the clients were moving out from me, I found them better rates from other companies and decided to just call the company. The company's still active, but there's no trade happening. So that's where we are at with the freight forwarding company. Now, that's a little bit of, currently I do have property, and I do have the pizzeria and the coffee bar. Those are the three businesses, I guess, or the three aspects of income that I currently have. So this video was about how my net worth is affecting my lifestyle. So the beauty has been that because of the high growth of my properties, I've been able to leverage that to purchase a couple more properties, also to buy more shares. And with the pizzeria and the coffee bar being local, my hours of work, physical hours of work, has reduced dramatically. Key point, I guess, point number one would be my net worth has actually helped me to work less in a job. That's probably the biggest change. I now don't have to wake up in the morning, decide that I had to go to work and have to turn up there. I have staff working, therefore I can, be flexible if I want to be in terms of when I work and how much I work. That's probably number one. Number two is the amount of time I have to try out new things. So that's been pretty exceptional. The fact that now I have more time to be creative, just sit and come up with ideas of what to do next. That's probably key number two, which is I've got more personal time. When I was working in the freight forwarding company, I could never turn off. Freight forwarding is an international trade, therefore different companies work at different times of the day. So that meant that I was always active. My phone was always going off. There was emails always coming in. I had to answer them. I sometimes had to be up at midnight to speak to companies in the US or China. Different types of the hour, different times of hours in the day that I had to actually be active and working. So I could never switch off. Even on a Saturday, I might have to, deal with containers that were arriving into Sydney or going out of Sydney, or Melbourne, WA. It really depended on what I had to do. So what that meant was I was never switching myself off, and it was a bit frustrating for me that I couldn't switch off. My current net worth in terms of my income has given me the opportunity to just, completely switch myself off. Sadly, I am always thinking about the next move. So I don't switch off per se, but at least I'm thinking about the next move rather than focusing on, getting other people rich. It was more about me doing my work. So that was point number two, which is I have plenty of time to do what I want to do. And number three is just the freedom of deciding to go somewhere if I want to, because I have the time. I also have a bit more disposable income. That's another key point. Like if I wake up in the morning and I want to go have breakfast somewhere, I can do that. I remember in the early 2010s, between 2010 and 2015, going for breakfast and spending $100 on breakfast for myself and my partner felt like it was a lot of money. Now it's not that bad. I'm at a position where I can do that and I can be okay and not feel bad. Although I still have a budget and I manage a budget and I, make sure I don't spend a lot of money on unnecessary things, I no longer have to focus too much on, you know, counting the pennies. So that's the beauty. I think that's probably point number three. I have a bit more disposable income, and that is thanks to me actually being very frugal between 2010 and 2019. So I think those were the key factors that I wanted to focus on, discuss today. How your net worth, so working out your number, and I think that's the other part as well. You need to make sure that you have a plan and work that plan day in, day out. I had a number that I wanted to get to. I am there now, but obviously I've pushed the goalpost a bit further. I've got more things and more projects that I want to focus on. However, I believe I'm at a position now that I can focus on those projects a lot better because of the freedoms I have, which is like number one being I have plenty of time to come up with ideas, and number two, I have a bit more disposable income, and also the fact that uh, managing the two businesses is a lot easier when you have more heads in it. I'm not the only one having to deal with everything, so that's how my current net worth has impacted my lifestyle, which is, I believe, on track to where I wanted to be. I think it's great that you should take some points from that and decide what you guys want from your lifestyle. My net worth has always been, or my number where I want to be is to get, I guess, the overall net worth. 5% of that should give me my yearly expenses. So that's how I'm calculating my net worth. So let's say my net worth is $1 million. 5% of that will be 50,000. So if that's what you need a year, that's how you would calculate. So work out how much you need a year to live. Then uh, it'll be a net worth that should give you, like, the 5% return should give you that yearly income. So that's how you kind of work that out. So yeah, I mean, the best way to do it is, say you need 100,000 to live, so you multiply that by 20, because 5% multiplied by 20 is 100%. So you multiply your yearly expenses. So 100,000 multiplied by 20 is 2 million. Yes, 2 million. And you get that 2 million, and that will, returning 5% on that 2 million will give you 100,000. Depending on what that number is, like some people might need 200,000, some people might want 500,000. So it's always about getting that, multiplying your yearly income by 20, and that should be your net worth number you should work towards. Hope this video has been useful for you. If it has, just click like and subscribe to my channel for more useful information like this. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.